Hello and welcome to the United Stand. A Jose Mourinho, Paul Pogba truce at last for Manchester United, and we are starting to see the early sprouts of positivity and confidence and trust at Manchester United, which will be key if we are to achieve the things we want to achieve this season. Yes, it was only the young boys, 3-0, but the reality is I like a lot of the things that I'm seeing around the United community this morning. Paul Pogba, no doubt, yesterday, put in a performance that we need to see consistently. And this is what we need to see. From Manchester United fans want to see it. But a lot of people are saying, yeah, it was good, but the opposition wasn't that great and he needs to do it every week. Spot on. Pat yourself on the back. Exactly correct. But it doesn't mean we should move away from the fact that Paul Pogba put in a very, very good performance last night. Now, the reality is stats lie, don't they? We all know stats lie. Stats can turn anything into whatever they want to do. And Pogba's had a lot of stick today because a lot of his goals this season have been penalties. As I said on Twitter, you take away penalty goals away from Eden Hazard, and for me, he's just a Belgian Andros Townsend. Penalties count. If it hits the back of the net and the referee doesn't disallow it, it's a goal, and it should not be taken away. Should not be taken away from Pogba's game. 2 goals last night and an assist and a very, very, very good performance. But if you watch the game itself, there was times when he looked a little bit like he was taking too many touches. The same with Matic. But it's definitely a platform to build on. And the Pogba-Mourinho thing, I think United fans just need to be realistic. We need to be realistic. There's clearly... I've seen some people saying today, well, this proves there was never a problem between Pogba and Mourinho. Wake up and have some coffee. Really, seriously do. There has been an issue between Pogba and Mourinho, and it's clearly been going on for the last 6 to 7 months. We had it the incident before the derby with Pep Guardiola. We had the last time Pogba was captain against Leicester. Straight after the game, he gave that interview saying, I can't say what I want to say. On the international break, he said things he probably shouldn't say. It's 100% clear that there is an issue between Pogba and Mourinho and that Pogba probably hasn't been happy. But the way that Mourinho's handled it, you've got to applaud it. Maybe there is a lot of things about Jose Mourinho at the moment that are not what he's been doing for the last 2 years or even the last 20 years. He's engaging with the fans openly. He's embracing the sort of football that United want to see. He's picking the teams that we want to see. And on that point, I think I deserve a like on the video for this. This was the preview for the Young Boys game. This was my predicted lineup. Am I right? I'm not wrong. That's bang on. That's 11 out of 11. Come on, give me some love. And that's not photoshopped. That is the Jose Mourinho press conference reaction, Young Boys versus Manchester United preview. You can see some of your live comments there. Robert McCormack, Luis Garcia, Leslie Lai. That's genuine. That was my predicted lineup. And the positivity about that, all right, Fred and Pogba in the wrong position, that's about it. But the brilliant thing about that is exactly what I was saying about the change in Mourinho. That was my 11. That was the 11 I wanted to see against Young Boys. And man for man, Mourinho did it. And Mourinho's going to the away support and they're chanting his names. He's chucking his coat. He's being positive. He's taking on board what we want. And I said this last night on the watch-along. At what point do the Mourinho outers... What point do you come back? I've not got a problem with you still being Mourinho out and still having your doubts, because I'll tell you now, there will be twists and turns in this season. We are not out of the woods yet. I think the next few weeks we should be okay. We shouldn't be losing any of the next few games. But after the next international break, we've got Chelsea, we've got City, we've got Juventus. It's going to be tough, and that's when we'll be tested. And, if we dip again, maybe that does become a problem. But until then, very, 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 very pleased with what we're doing. And Mourinho is doing the sort of things we want to do. And the way that he's handled the Pogba situation especially, absolutely bang on. He's given him the captaincy again. He's spoken about him positively. Maybe Pogba and his agents have been poking a little bit, trying to get a reaction from the club and from Mourinho, but they've steadfast. You're a player we want at the club, and we're going to involve you. He's picked him every minute, and he's made him the captain again last night. In relation to Pogba's position last night, I've purposely put the position on there. I actually just realised I got one wrong. I got Bay wrong. So I got one wrong, but it was nearly right. You smug bastards. I was nearly right. But, yes, so Paul Pogba is here. He played on the right-hand side. Pogba's heat map last night was like that. It was around that area. So that area works really well. Now, tonight at 8 o'clock, we've got a Wolves fan from Wolves Fan TV on who's going to be coming on, which I think is going to be really, really good. But we're also going to talk about the Sanchez-Martial dynamic. Now, the Martial heat map, as per usual, was like that. Take those heat maps away for a moment. Because Pogba, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter who plays on that left-hand side at all. Because Why won't you fucking work for me tonight? It won't work. But it doesn't matter who plays on this situation here. Because if Pogba's playing here, he ain't going to get in the way of Sanchez cutting in anyway. And that, for me, obviously I would like to see Martial play. But if Sanchez plays as expected on Saturday, then Sanchez cutting in isn't going to pose a problem if Paul Pogba's playing in that position. The problem comes again if Fellaini comes back in and plays there and we don't play Fred there because we can't play Matic. But that's a problem for the game at the weekend. Very, very happy with the way Pogba produced last night. And I think the truce has been called between Mourinho and Pogba, and that's very, very important. Looking at other things, and I just want to talk about for a moment. What's happened with Eric Bailly, says David Barak. I mean, that's a conversation in its point in itself, isn't it? He's going with Smalling and Lindelof. And I'll go to Lindelof now. There was a lot on social media. There was a lot of criticism of Lindelof last night. If people didn't see it, there was a lot of positivity, but there was a lot of criticism of Lindelof. And what I want to say is that I watched the game, obviously, if you did the watch along with us, and he was shaky. Lindelof, I've said over the last 3 games, I think the 2 games in the league, with Fellaini back there, it's playing as a back 3, he's been compensated. Last night was the first game he played in a back 2, and at times Lindelof did look shaky. But, whilst I hold my hand up and agree with that, I also will go back to what we've said before, that Mourinho needs to pick a consistent centre-back pairing, and he needs to not keep chopping and changing. And, maybe Lindelof was a little bit shaky yesterday, but surely Mourinho should be applauded for sticking with a centre-back pairing. Whether it's the one you want it to be, and I agree, I think Eric Bailly should be in there over both of those players. I think Smalling's playing well at the moment, but I think Eric Bailly's better. But the consistency in the selection is really good. Is really important. So I'm very happy with that. Brian's on about Fellaini. Look, Fellaini came on and did well against Young Boys, didn't he? But again, he's playing in as a centre-back. I mean, I tell you what, let's just see what happens with this Fellaini loving, because it will come crashing down. I'll guarantee you. It's all right playing as a centre-back with 2 other centre-backs and parking the bus like we have been doing the last few games defensively. But how is this going to help? How is that going to help us be what we want to be? The positives I saw from last night was the fullbacks, and Paul Scholes said there's a player on that pitch who can be world class, and his name is Luke Shaw, and I agree with that. And Dalot got a lot of the plaudits. He needs to be pushing Valencia out of the team. But the great thing was you've got 2 fullbacks bombing up and down, energetic, young, fast. Not Ashley Young, and the crosses are coming in natural, and that's so important to have 2 people who can whip a natural cross in. I've been on about this for 2 years. It's so important. And Luke Shaw last night, he was brilliant, but he didn't really get loads and loads of praise because Dalot and Pogba and others took it. But Luke Shaw was absolutely fantastic last night. And again, that's a big, big positive for United to have this opportunity. Now, I think Mourinho will stick with Valencia, but Valencia can't play every week. And I think Dalot now will be the backup fullback. And what we're starting to see, and this is what I mean about at what point the Mourinho outers start coming back into the camp again and being behind Mourinho, because little things are happening that in the summer, even 2 or 3 months ago, maybe even 2 or 3 weeks ago, we would have said were totally impossible. Like, I never thought Luke Shaw would be his first choice left back when Ashley Young's breathing. I thought Ashley Young would be always his first choice left back. That's disappeared. I never thought he would pick Dalot over Darmian or Young last night, and he did it. And Dalot played fantastically well. So he has to be the backup for Valencia now, which in my mind, even 24 hours ago, I would have put him behind Darmian in Mourinho's mind. So they're things that we're really positive about. Of course, Lukaku is a little bit of an issue. His build-up play was poor yesterday. Rashford is a bit of a concern. But Martial was a real positive yesterday. Yes, for 25 minutes he was brilliant, and the rest of the game it was a bit hit and miss. But confidence and trust is how you get the best out of Anthony Martial. And Mourinho seems to be turning that corner with him as well, which is very important. Again, the similar thing with Pogba. Fred had another 90 minutes under him, more or less, which was good. Andres Pereira got on the pitch. So there are a lot of things. I think the only thing that people would probably be slightly concerned about is Eric Bailly at the moment. But just Paul Scholes as well. I mean, he said Paul Pogba had a very, very good game yesterday. A very, very good game. And now we just need to see it. And consistency is the thing with Pogba. I saw Flex's fan cam yesterday talking about Pogba and, the Pogba haters and all that lot. But the reality is, the consistency is the thing with Paul Pogba. He might not, if Pogba's recent history comes to pass on Saturday, then Pogba will have a bad game against Wolves. What we all know and what we all love about Pogba is what he can do. What we all need to see against Wolves on Saturday is Pogba that we saw last night, so he can do it in a proper game against a half-decent team, which I think Wolves are. So they are the positives from United, and I asked the question, if we have got Mourinho out as in there, as to at what point do you start coming back in for Mourinho? I mean, talking about those twists and turns, Wolves, West Ham and Newcastle before the next international break in the Premier League, Valencia at home in the Champions League, and Derby at home in the Carabao Cup. I mean, they are 5 games that we should win every single one of them. And I think if we don't win one of those games, yes, the Mourinho outers will be knocking on the door again. Team selections are going to be very important. We saw things last night that we will, probably unrealistically crave for on Saturday. And Dalot, there is no better example. Dalot will not play against Wolves on Saturday. And part of me thinks he shouldn't play because Valencia is Mourinho's captain. He is the first choice right back and he's not been very good lately. But I'm not going to shout at Mourinho for not picking Dalot. Of course, I would pick him. I think that's the way we should be progressing. But I don't expect that. And I think they're unrealistic asks at this point because Dalot will probably play against Derby next Tuesday. And that's the growth. Alexis Sanchez is a big topic to talk about tonight. And how Mourinho handles that is going to be very interesting. Footballing-wise yesterday, let's not forget the pitch was a joke. And I think some players didn't deal with that pitch very well. Some players dealt with it pretty well. But I guarantee if that had been on grass, we would have seen an even better Manchester United performance last night. It was difficult. How are we evolving as a footballing side? Well, last night was a different formation and a different approach to the last 2 games against Watford and Burnley. And again, that's good from Manchester United because what we aspire to be when you look at, and I don't want to be David Moyes on this, but we want to be top of the league and we want to be fighting for titles and we want to be playing consistent football with an identity. So saying we aspire to be Liverpool or Man City is totally wrong because they're in our shadow, that's a fact. But we want to be at the top of the league and we want to have a consistent way of playing football. And I look at United at the moment and I think Mourinho is taking it game by game and he's moulding it game by game. And eventually we want that to change. We want to be an identical philosophy Manchester United where we know week to week more or less what his best 11 is and what formation we're going to play. I think against Watford and Burnley, that was definitely about getting the 3 points in both games, which we did. I think long term, do you really want Fellaini to be playing in a back 3? Do you really want us to be, reliant on set pieces? Yesterday was more about what Manchester United should be, more about moving through a midfield that's got a couple of flair players in Pogba and Fred. And it didn't work a lot of the time for either of them, but they tried to move the ball quickly. They tried to get it going. I mean, to be fair, you've got Matic who takes so many touches. You've got Lukaku who's got a bad touch. You've got Rashford who's having a bad game. You had Martial who sort of had a really good 25 minutes and then a pretty average rest of the game. So Fred and Pogba didn't have a lot around them and they didn't have great games either at times. So it was really a good result for United and a lot of positives. And I'm really intrigued to see what we're going to do against Wolves at the weekend and as to how we're going to set up. Will we go back to how we played against Watford, which I think is too defensive to play like that at home? And also we're missing Matic. So I think we might see a little bit more of what we saw last night, which is more dynamic Manchester United. Because what's his midfield 3 going to be? There is no Matic. So that means normally we'd expect Matic, Fellaini and Pogba, which is a little bit static. He can't do that. So will he go Fellaini, Pogba and Fred? Will he bring Herrera in? Would he risk bringing McTominay in? Who knows what he's going to do. But we need to get at Wolves because they will soak us up. But that's more about tonight's show. Are you not worried about what Jose moaned about before the game, saying he's not happy with the squad he had, but in my opinion, that was the best setup for a long time, says Nathan Collins. I hadn't heard Mourinho say that. I don't want to hear Mourinho moaning about how we're set up at the moment. Patrick St. Pierre says, never been Mourinho out. I don't want a consistent lineup or strategy. Makes us predictable. You can't do that when we're clearly missing a creative number 10. Patrick St. Pierre. I disagree with you on Patrick on that. I think if you haven't got an identity and you're changing week to week, effectively you are just a chameleon that is too focused on the opposition. I think to be the best, you've got to be brave and consistent and have a lot of faith in what you're doing. And I think at the moment we're setting up each game to win games, which is good. But I want to see us evolving into a team where we're confident in who we are and what we're doing, and that will breed confidence within the playing squad as well. It was massive Jose playing Martial 90 minutes. He must build on this with more minutes and we'll start to see the real Martial again, says Lynn Hall. If Martial doesn't start against Wolves, Lynn, then he will be on the bench and he will probably get on for 20 minutes because we haven't got Rashford. So And Rashford can't play against Derby either. So it's a couple of games for Martial to get a bit of consistency and confidence and trust. So I agree with you on that. Will Ronaldo play at Old Trafford, says Pankaj? We don't know yet. That's down for the UEFA to sort out. And Pogba is a number 10 in the Mourinho system, says Red Jabby. Debatable. And get rid of Sanchez, says Tejan. Russell says, I never thought I'd see Martial play a full 90 minutes, even had the last touch of the game. And yeah, you know what? I want to just say this as well. Flex was out there last night doing some fan cams. They got kept in half an hour after the game, all the United fans, for no reason, because there wasn't any trouble. Then a lot of United fans missed the last train, so they were having to pay ridiculous amounts of money to get taxis back into the town. Trains today cancelled this morning, which has meant Flex had to stay, a whole day in Switzerland waiting for another plane. So a bit of a nightmare journey that some of these United fans who follow us around the world do. And if you didn't watch the fan cams from Flex, I put an eye in the top right hand corner. And please just go and watch them, because we were the only United channel out there yesterday doing the fan cams, and it's important if you want that content, that you watch it and you back it and you give a bit of support to it, because it's your community. It's down to you that we can now go to these games and do all this. So please support it and please get involved and watch them. Click the eye in the top right hand corner, and all the best to Flex and all the other United fans who sometimes face these nightmares following United around. But I think one of the best things from it was also the love that was shown to Anthony Martial. I'm sure you've all seen the videos of United fans chanting Martial's name, Martial chanting back as soon as he scored his goal, the grabbing of the chest. Whatever you think about Alexis Sanchez, I think he'll come good. But this nonsense that Paul Pogba and Anthony Martial aren't happy at United, they want to leave and they don't love the club, I think that's absolute nonsense. They've always done that. And the great thing I would say about Anthony Martial's heat map is that not only is it up here, it's also down here. And the great thing also is that was doing the watch along yesterday, and there was United fans slagging Martial off in the live comments, calling him lazy. At the exact moment Anthony Martial was tracking back, doubling up with Luke Shaw on two young boys players down the right hand side. So it just shows you how myths and agendas can just be spouted out even when the facts are right in front of their eyes, that Martial does work hard, he does track back, and he did some good things last night. And it's a stepping stone. I'm not saying he's the best player in the world again. Martial's my favourite player. I've always been consistent about that. And it's good that he absolutely obliterated the performances of Rashford and Lukaku last night. And I think that 90 minutes from Martial, okay, there was bad bits, but there were some really good bits in it. And it's still a better 90 minutes than Alexis Sanchez and Jesse Lingard have produced all season. And all right, we're only 6 games in, but to me that puts him high up, and I think he deserves that. So yes, very, very pleased with it. But not just that. I think United at the moment, as I said, realism is really important. We're going through a phase at the moment where we are trying to get this season back on track, and you can't criticise the way we're doing that. We've won 2 league games. We've won a difficult-ish Champions League game. Got Wolves at the weekend, which we need to win. And if we keep doing that and we keep building towards that Chelsea game at the start of October, then we can't complain. That would be really good for United. So I'm not getting ahead of myself. I will guarantee you now there is a result coming up in the next 6 weeks that's going to send everybody into meltdown again, because that's just the way it is. And I still think there is going to be another couple of dips in this season. That's why I've always said it's going to be a very interesting season. We're not out of the woods yet, definitely not, but we're treading in the right direction. And Mourinho is steering the ship through some turbulent waters, but he might turn us into another big wave again. We just don't know. So keep watching, keep getting involved, keep having your opinion. I would play for Pereira over Fred, says Sports Story. Yeah, I would like to see Pereira play. I don't think there's much chance of it, but I would like to see him play. Please do drop a like on the video. Tonight at 8 o'clock, we have got the Wolves preview. I'm really looking forward to this Wolves game. I marked it off. Even in the summer, I thought this is going to be a good game. Most people are going to think, oh, it's not a great game. They're a very good footballing team, and I think they're going to be a bigger test than some people think. So we've got a Wolves fan on tonight as well. We'll be previewing that at 8 o'clock, so join us for that. We're taking some of your calls as well, because it's always a Skype show, isn't it? Please do drop a like on the video, and please, 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 if it's important to you, please click the eye in the top right hand corner or go to the homepage and watch the fan cams. I know they went up a bit late last night, but Flex got stuck in the ground like all the United fans. We were the only ones out there doing those, so please support the channel in relation to that, because it's because of your lot's support that we're able to go and do these fan cams now, and Flex was out there, so go and give him a watch and support the channel. Please do drop a like. If the United stand's important to you, please do drop a like in the video and watch the fan cams, and I'll see you tonight at 8 o'clock. Thanks everybody for watching. See you soon.